Did they make
No,
contact?
no. It's pretty close, but this is going to be a drag race.
Look at this.
Moves him to win it. Carl Edwards bump and dump and run.
Here comes Gordon right up to the bumper again.
You hear that wheel spin, Ben?
Yeah, I did hear that wheel spin.
The bump and run.
There it is.
Gordon underneath to the lead. 2 laps to go. But the bump and run is going to get Jeff Gordon the checkered flag at the end of the winless streak. Gordon wins the Sharpie 500 at Bristol.
And Maine really turned around, made a Reilly's cage up.
Welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm Michael D. White, joined by my 2 co-hosts, my best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had an MTJ winning type of weekend. Before we break down the Instacart 500 at Phoenix Raceway, first, I want to tell you, if you're enjoying the podcast, like, share, subscribe, leave us a review on iTunes. Podcast available every Monday night. That way you get caught up on the week of NASCAR behind you. Podcast available every Monday night, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more, wherever you can stream podcasts. And you can watch the video version every Tuesday morning. Got to give a quick shout out to some friends of the show. Pat McCabe, always listening, always appreciate the feedback. Got to give a shout out to the Vavrick brothers. I know they'll be listening on Monday or Tuesday night. And of course, Matt, you ran into someone over the weekend. Give him a shout out.
Yeah, Big Will, buddy. Haven't talked to you in a while. You shouted us out and told us how much you liked the show. We really appreciate it. And then I saw you leaving breakfast, and you said the same thing. So it means a lot that people are actually spending time listening to us, and it goes a long way with us. It keeps us going. So, guys, we really appreciate it. My buddy Justin, who I go to the races with, he told me that our podcast now takes precedence over the Dale Jr. download. So, hey, Earnhardt, we're coming for you, buddy.
We're coming for you, Dale. Always love the feedback. I want to hear more feedback, and we appreciate everyone that listens. And speaking of your buddy, you can check out what he said on the Twitter page. I posted a picture on @BumpAndRunPod, and I tagged Dale Jr. We're coming for you, Dale. But first, how you guys doing? Did you enjoy the weekend of racing?
Oh yeah, I did. I'm wearing my Martin Truex Jr. shirt. The last thing I said before we signed off last week was asking Phoenix Raceway, prove me wrong, because you guys know how much I said I didn't really like the track, and I know we'll get into it, but that racetrack proved me wrong this week. I'm pleasantly surprised. Now,
Matt's a Chase Elliott fan, but every time I've gone to a race with you, you're always talking about MTJ and you're rooting for him. I don't understand why he's just not your driver anyways.
Secret crush, man. It's a secret crush.
Oh man, crush. You like the beard?
Yeah. He's best friends with Junior. He has a pretty good story. The things he does with his longtime girlfriend Sherry Pollux.
Mm-hmm.
I have an admiration for him, and I respect the hell out of the guy. So yeah, I really like him.
I think you're just enamored with the beard. And speaking of beards, Eric Daytona Ron, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, boys. I'm doing good. Glad to be back. The racing was good this weekend. I have this shirt on here because Blaney, it kind of reminds me of Blaney and that yellow paint scheme, having, back-to-back top tens and looking good out there. I like what I saw in race on Sunday. I really did.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Let's start, though. Last week, a little quiet on the news front, but we did get some news. Like Kevin Harvick going to be competing in the Bristol truck race and 3 Xfinity Series races, of course, COTA, Road America, and the Indy Road Course. What do you guys think about Cup guys come up? We'll talk a little bit about that in the Pickle Lane segment, but are you excited to see Kevin Harvick do a little, I guess you could call it testing before the Cup races?
Yeah, why not? Like you said, we'll talk about it, but it was interesting. And then even Martin Truex Jr. announced yesterday after the win that he's going to be doing the truck race and the Xfinity race next week at Atlanta, and then the truck race at Bristol. So yeah, we'll dive into that for sure.
I like it. As long as, these big names, sometimes they just bring eyes, or they just bring eyes to the TV. And
Absolutely.
with something as wild as this Bristol Dirt's going to be, hey, anything to bring eyes to that event, I'm all for it.
Okay. And some other news, of course, the Superstar Racing Experience, Tony Stewart and Ray Everham's Endeavor is going to be on CBS in the summertime. They just unveiled the car. They showed some videos of the testing. Are you guys excited for some short track racing?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
Of course.
I saw those pictures. A lot of people thought that they were just renditions. They didn't think the car was real. It looks amazing. I like what they did with the splitter in the front, and I'm excited for some of these guys one-off races too. I know they're looking for full-time drivers to run all the races.
Yeah.
But some of these one-off drivers could be fun to watch for that one race. But short track racing, you're going to get a lot of tempers flaring, good beating and banging, and that's where you see some good racing.
I'm excited too to see some of the legends come back and do some racing. I heard some rumors about Bill Elliott.
Yep.
Maybe Bill Elliott and his son Chase going there.
Michael Waltrip's attached to it. And then I know I texted you guys, but for anyone who doesn't listen to the Dale Jr. download, of course, I got excited because his co-host Mike Davis asked him about SRX and the car, and he asked him if he would have any interest. And Junior said that they reached out to him because, of course, they would want him running that. They'd get 10 million eyes watching it if he ran. So he did say that he has some interest. He said, of course, Junior, who has all the money in the world, asked if he would be getting paid to do it. Then, he did mention that his wife, Amy, might have something to say about whether he'd be able to do it or not. But he showed interest. So, I'm crossing my fingers that he gets in the car and we get to see him racing.
What are the chances that one of his best friends maybe comes back with him? Matt Kenseth, my old driver. Him and Junior are good friends, and with both of them out of the sport and retired, and they're still close friends. Like, I wonder if they might get together and be like, hey, let's do this, or in a way, what if this league just becomes like the retirement league where you get all these old legends that just come back and run in it? Because it seems like that's what's bringing the interest in. Obviously, it hooked us to see those guys' names attached. I wouldn't be surprised to see what? One of those names.
It's summertime Saturday night short track racing. All of that with the big names, all that combined. You're damn right. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be really good. And I know with Ray Evernham, who's one of the smartest minds that NASCAR has ever had, and Tony Stewart, who doesn't take no for an answer, I don't think they're going to let this thing fail. So I'm cautiously optimistic to see how this thing goes for them.
I'm excited. And you want to what? Eric, you'd laugh, but I wouldn't mind an all legends league. I do think something cool they're doing though is they're going to bring the local track champion to also race. So I think that's got to be a pretty big thrill for a local guy to be able to race up against, Bill Elliott. I'm sure he grew up watching Bill Elliott in the 90s, So I think all around it's going to be pretty cool.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have some points on that I'll get into later when you bring up, our topic on Cup guys and going down to the other series.
And then I just saw on Twitter today, Austin Cindric going to be running the Cup Series again this weekend in Atlanta. What do you guys think about that? I think he did a pretty damn good job down in Daytona. We'll see how he can mix it up on a mile and a half. What do you guys think about Austin Cindric coming up to the Cup Series again?
It'll be interesting. I know he finished 15th at Daytona, but that didn't really show how well he was really running during that race. He ran really good and he hung with the big guys. And, obviously he's already got 2 wins under his belt in the Xfinity Series. He's the defending champion down there. It'll be interesting to see how he performs, like you said, at Atlanta on this mile and a half. We'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, it's Penske, and I won't be rooting for him.
Yeah, he's a proven winner. I think he deserves, a ride in the Cup Series. And he's one of those guys that when he does get that ride, he takes advantage of it, and he makes the best of that day and that seat time. He just really overperforms when he gets in that car.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Like you said, Matt, it pains me to want to root for someone with Team Penske. But I do enjoy watching a young guy move up and do well.
It's just like Blaney. You
Yeah.
know, Blaney with Penske, like I was a Blaney fan. I like Blaney. I
Liked
still
him in the
do.
Wood Brothers, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was perfect fit for Wood Brothers. Old school. Get him like he
Yeah.
should have stayed there at Wood Brothers. I would have loved him if he stayed in that ride. And you know, going over to Penske, it just rubs you the wrong way. And you know, I'll give Austin the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? Because you know, until he starts acting like the Penske guys, you know, I'll cut him some slack.
Yeah, I think we've all said before that Blaney is like the exception to the rule with Penske Racing. I think we all like Blaney. He seems like a really cool dude. He's got an old soul, like Eric said.
Yeah.
I think he's like one of those dudes that we would all get along with. I feel like he'd fit
You could
with
see
our
yourself
group.
having a beer with him and hanging out, you know?
Sure. So
I think he'd have fun in the Valley, not gonna lie.
I think so too.
He'd have a blast here hanging out with us.
Speaking of Valley, we got some local news from the governor today. So Governor Tom Wolf, a couple weeks ago, expanded outdoor sporting events to 20% capacity. Of course, that's big news for Pocono Raceway, and they start selling those camping tickets and the grandstand tickets. Just announced today, they're moving it up to 50% at the beginning of next month, starting Easter Sunday. So things looking good for the Pocono doubleheader. I know you guys are probably already got your tickets all in sorts. I haven't gotten my tickets yet, but I'm very excited to do a little camping. I've never camped in Pocono. From what I hear from you guys, it's a wild time.
Eric, what do you think? Is it wild?
It's it's wild, all right. And you know, I have a blast. I usually go from Thursday all the way to Monday, and you know, the people there are just tremendous. The party is absolutely insane. I can't wait for this doubleheader. We missed out on it, you know, last year with everything going down. We still camped close to Pocono at a family friend's house just to keep tradition going. But I'm excited to finally get my camper that I purchased last year at the actual racetrack and give her first maiden voyage. So, yeah, I said, I think I texted you earlier, Whitey, where I said, I hope they left it at 20% because I was part of that 20% for my ticket from here. So I'm like, hey, more spots for me, you know, easier to reserve for my buddies, get a nice, you know, compound going, and now it's moved up to 50. You know, it always makes it a little bit more difficult. So
well, you just got to get there early Thursday night, you know?
Yeah.
Pick our spots prime. So we were just talking to Austin Cindric. Of course, he was the big winner in the Xfinity Series. Let's jump into the Cup Series, or well, the Xfinity Series weekend on Saturday. I'm not even gonna lie, right up front, I'm gonna be square with you guys. I didn't watch the race. I was out at dinner, and I'm having issues with my video stuff right now. I'm sorry, it's driving me nuts. So I was out at dinner. I didn't see the race. I caught the last. I caught the last restart on the MRN broadcast, which was phenomenal. I don't know if you guys ever listened to the radio broadcasts of the races, but they're just,
oh my God,
like,
it's the best.
It's
the
fantastic.
Yeah.
So it sounded exciting. The ending sounded exciting. What do you guys think about the race?
Yeah, Xfinity Series is always a little difficult, right? Because the races start at 4 or 5 on a Saturday afternoon when you're getting ready to go out to dinner or, you know, what have you. But we actually, because like I said, you know, we were actually out to dinner as well. So I got to see the last, I don't know, 50 laps or so. It was okay. You know, it was a good race. My one note that I did write down here, sticking with the theme of Penske sucking, is that I wrote down Joey Logano is awful in the booth. He just comes off so insincere. It was just, I hate when he's out there. That's all I'll have to say. But the race itself was good. Like we said, Austin Cindric won his second of the year. I think it was the first episode we did. We all said that he can get into the high single digits, maybe even double digit wins this year. And so far we look pretty smart.
Absolutely. I mean, we're 5 races in. He's already won 2 of them. He hasn't finished lower than 5th. So I'm going to call it right now. This might be a bold prediction, but I'm going to say he might repeat a championship this year in the Xfinity Series. I don't really see anyone else giving him much competition. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a bold prediction, man.
I did find it pretty interesting. So Ty Gibbs has made 2 starts in the Xfinity Series. His first start he won. His second start he got second. Do you think he gets third in his third start?
I think he could get third or even second or first again. I mean, I had in my notes after that. I did catch a little bit of the race. I didn't see the ending. Like Matt and you, like, you know, I had some dinner obligations here that I was cooking at the homestead. But you know, Ty Gibbs is just impressive. I mean, I know it's only 2 starts, but 1 and 2, that's impressive. And you know, what's to say that it just doesn't continue from this point forward? To me, Xfinity, there's always seems to be 1 or 2 guys that you could always tell are going to be the ones that are fighting for the championship. But not only that, you got to look to the way the playoff format is. Those guys might not win the championship. So,
you know what's crazy to me with Ty Gibbs too is he's only 18 years old, and a lot of people hear the name Gibbs, they kind of want to like put him off, like, oh, he just has his ride because of his grandfather and stuff.
Nepotism of it.
But I don't care. I don't care who you are. If you don't perform, you're not gonna stay in it. He's already performing at 18 years old, and I'm excited to see where he goes from here. It's crazy though. He's got such a little baby face. It's weird. I'm like, you're not old enough to drive a car. I feel old watching him. I don't know.
Yeah, it's exciting. We can't go without mentioning the Josh Berry double birds too. When Santino Ferrucci drove him up into the wall there, Josh Berry got out and gave him the old Chase Elliott double bird. So
I missed that highlight. I didn't see it.
Yeah, Josh Berry got wrecked and threw the old double birds out there. So that's always fun to see.
That's too funny.
I'll tell you what though, Ferrucci's been running not bad for the team and his situation. You got to give it up to him, man. He's been running pretty decent for his situation.
Oh yeah, I love his name too, Antonio Ferrucci. You know, just I don't know. He's from like New England too. He's from New England though. You hear him talk, you expect this heavy Italian accent. And him
and Alfredo should be teammates.
They should. Although we'll talk about Anthony Alfredo in the Cup Series race on Sunday. Let's jump right into it. Of course, Martin Truex Jr. with his first win of the season, the first win since Martinsville 2020, the only win of last season, led for 64 laps at the Instacart 500. And if you took our picks this last week, if you took my pick, you would have won yourself some money, because I told you Martin Truex Jr. was going to win. I had no basis. I had no reason, just a gut feeling, and that feeling paid off. My only thing is I didn't put any money on him. I only put money on Tyler Reddick, and we'll talk about how that went.
Our buddy Nick Altavilla put some money down on him, won like almost $300 on him on a win too. Not a big NASCAR fan, just wanted to make it interesting for himself, and yeah, he won some good money. So shout out to him.
I hope he got the tip from our podcast, and I hope he tells all his friends, yo, Michael D. White, Matt Statman Reilly, Daytona Ron, they're helping you make money every Tuesday or Monday and Tuesday nights. Just gotta tune in for those picks. But what'd you guys think of the race? Let's go into the race grades.
Race grades. I gave it a B. I thought the package looked good. I thought, once again, 22 lead changes, 7 cautions.
Yep.
I think this is now, once again, the most lead changes at a racetrack with this package. So the package is just producing good racing this year. There's just no denying that. I did, obviously the race reflection determines how your driver does a lot of the time. And, my driver, obviously being Eric Jones, I thought, he was running really well. He got caught in some dirty air, and that seemed to be a problem for a lot of people, was that dirty air. And, that's what makes it hard to pass at Phoenix. And, at the end there, he could have came away with another top 15. The cautions didn't go his way at the end.
Yeah.
But, just the dirty air trouble, he was a little loose. But overall, the racing was just great, I thought. Besides my driver, you got to look at the race as a whole. And, it produced good racing. Again, I didn't catch the final laps of it. But from what I saw, it kept me watching. It kept my eyeballs on. It wasn't stellar. It wasn't, the best race, but it wasn't terrible either. So I'm going to stick with a B.
So Eric, I tend to agree with you. Before Matt starts, I know we kind of poo-pooed Phoenix, but on Sunday's race, they had the most passes for the lead in Phoenix since 2013. And a lot of people really don't like this package. And I think maybe minds have been changed after Sunday. Matt, what'd you think about the race? What's your race grade?
Yeah, I'm gonna mirror Eric's grade exactly. I gave it a B. Just like I alluded to at the top of the show, I was pleasantly surprised with Phoenix. Not that it was, this mind-blowing race. It wasn't, the best race I've ever seen, but for Phoenix standards, it was the best Phoenix race I've seen in a long time. So I probably in any other instance would have maybe given it like a C plus, but I went a little higher just because Phoenix kind of gave me what I was looking for as far as that particular track goes. So it was a B. I'm now that we got it out of the way, I'm looking forward to the next few weeks. We've got a lot of really fun tracks coming up on the schedule. So Phoenix, we'll see you in November for the championship, but I'm excited. I'm excited for what's in the future, but a B for Phoenix this week.
So I'm gonna agree with most of your points, guys. I did think for a Phoenix race, it was pretty good. As an overall race, though, I'm gonna give it a C plus. I didn't want to give it a B minus. I didn't feel like it deserved a B minus, and I didn't think it deserved a C. So I gave it a C plus.
I was with you, Whitey. I was with you. I was up in the air on it too because like you just made the point of that's what I was kind of fumbling around with.
Yeah,
was a Phoenix race grade or just like an overall race grade?
Yeah,
and like to me, I agree with you that it could be slightly different. Like Matt said, with Phoenix, what are you expecting? I think the package and everything, it overperformed as far as for Phoenix Raceway.
Right.
But I could see why you might want to go a little bit lower for an overall race grade. I could see that.
Sure.
Yeah, because like in terms of Phoenix races, it was a pretty good Phoenix race. I don't know. I don't get too excited over Phoenix.
We're grading on a curve when we're talking about Phoenix. So
exactly. So
like I said, it's almost not even fair for Phoenix because it's situated in between Las Vegas and Atlanta, two tracks that have been producing some really good racing.
Yeah.
So that might also have something to do with the dud mentality that we've labeled Phoenix with.
Like, honestly, for the first two stages, I was paying more attention to my phone than I was to the race. Like, it really didn't suck me in. So if we're grading on the first two stages, I'm going to give it a solid C. And then if we're grading it just on the third stage on its own, the third stage was a B plus. I thought the third stage was exciting. We saw some pit road issues lead into some drama and some passing. And so you mash it all together, I give it a C plus. I thought it was good. I checked the Jeff.
I just think the restarts were just phenomenal there.
The restarts were exciting.
Brad Keselowski's start, like, what was he like? That was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
I've never seen someone get so close to the inside wall. That was absolutely insane.
Like, oh my! I was almost gonna go. Is he gonna hit that? Like, he almost hit the wall. I'm like, I don't know
what he was doing. It was almost like the live heat races when you get on NASCAR Heat on Xbox. And you're playing with guys who clearly don't know what they're doing, and they're
just dive bombing
the inside wall and outside wall. That's what it seemed like.
Like they're just dive bombing in the corner.
Move.
The way I also try to grade it too is I think to myself, like, is this a race that we're ever going to remember? Is this a race we're ever going to talk about a year or two down the road? Like, it was a forgettable race, but with that being said, like, it wasn't the worst race going. So I know we've done a lot of trashing Phoenix Raceway in the past two episodes.
Yeah.
But get better racing, I guess.
Honestly, I think so. You made a good point saying like, oh, is this something we'll remember? I think when we come back in the fall for the championship race, what we're going to remember is there was a lot of pit road penalties, a lot of speeding tickets. And I think that's basically what you could sum up the whole entire race. But let's sum it up with our checkers and wreckers, the best and the worst of the race. Eric, how about you start out with your checkers? What was your checkers this race?
Ooh, well, to sum up the race, this is a good spot for me to come in with my my checkers here, because I thought, regardless of the race grade, there was a one-man show going on Sunday, and that was from that 5 car and Kyle Larson. He alone it could have been an A. If you're a Larson fan and you were just watching that race, you're giving this race an A.
Yeah.
He didn't get the win, but he was the best car out there. So I got to give him my checkers, man. Those 2 speeding penalties, it was just phenomenal watching.
Started from the back, anyways.
Eric, are you becoming, just like I'm a quote unquote closet MTJ fan, are you becoming like a Larson fan, man?
Well, it's tough. My girlfriend's a Larson fan.
Sure.
So I'm trying to, inform her on the sport and kind of teach her about the sport. So, I didn't say I persuaded her into liking Larson, but the young talent that is coming up, and I knew he'd be a good driver.
Yeah.
And I respect Kyle Larson, and he's a racer through and through. But I think you might be onto something there, man. I'm a little closet Larson fan here.
Hell yeah.
Well, I mean, she's been following him for years. Our buddy Jay's been following him for years. You start to root for the guys that your friends root for,
Right.
I'm the same way with Eric Jones, Kevin Harvick. I like to see Chase Elliott do well because I know these are my friends' drivers and stuff, I think it kind of goes hand in hand. He was the show on Sunday. I mean, starting from the back to begin with, cutting through the field. I don't remember the exact number, but it's something like he passed 150 cars throughout the day, which is absolutely insane to me.
He came from the back 3 times.
Plus.
Yeah.
It was insane. He looked like Michael McDowell in a go-kart out there, dude. Just people
just beating on kids.
Yeah, just beating on kids.
All right, so that was the best, but what did you think was the worst? What is your record for Phoenix?
I'm gonna stick with it. The pit road penalties. If you take away, for my 2 things that I take away from this race, like we said, it was an okay race. I like to go by, if I have a friend that I want to get into the sport, and if they watch that race, how would they perceive it and would they enjoy it?
Yeah.
I think Larson and the pit road penalties were the 2 main things that I got out of that. And, people were just getting nabbed for speeding. And I think it's a, I don't know how to say it. It's important because come fall, when we come back, that's going to be a huge topic. So if these guys that got nabbed for these tickets, they better get their shit together, including Larson, because Larson's going to be in contention, that championship, and you can't have mistakes like that. And I know he touched on him a little bit, to be honest, and said that his racing throughout this turmoil that his life ended up being over this last year, it actually helped him race. And it wasn't a cup car, but just being behind the wheel, it just gave him confidence. It gave him, that extra push when he got behind that cup car to perform. The stage wasn't too big for him. He learned a lot from being in those races.
I think
the pit road penalties are going to be huge come the fall.
I think he came to appreciate the cup car more a little bit. And you're coming in with a fresh mentality, and you have to improve. I know I heard an interview with him too, though. He compared the Ganassi cars to the Hendrick cars, and he says the Hendrick cars are like leaps and bounds smoother. You don't feel nearly as many bumps. They shift easier. So who knows? Maybe just that little bump in the equipment is the game changer for him. Mentality. He's got something to prove. I think there's a lot of factors to go into it. But I do agree. The pit road penalties were crazy this weekend.
Yeah, that chip on his shoulder is just enormous right now, and he just keeps reaching over and taking bites of it, until that thing is gone, and he's holding up that trophy at the end of the year.
Oh yeah, I think the way he's looking now, definitely gonna be a top 8, top 4 contender. I think he's gonna go real deep in the playoffs. So how about you, Matt? What is your checkers and your wreckers for Phoenix this week?
So I got a little self-involved with my checkers and wreckers this week, and I'll explain why. So my checkers goes to Phoenix Raceway, and it's like what I said at the top of the show. I challenged them to prove me wrong, and they did. That
sounds like Eric's making a drink over there.
The nuisance bear, Eric. We're gonna have to tell the nuisance bear story eventually.
We'll save that. We'll save that for an off week when there's no racing.
It's a good one. But yeah, so I challenged Phoenix Raceway to put on a good show, and they did. So that's my checkers. It goes to them. Like Whitey alluded to earlier, there are 23 lead changes, the most since the 2013 fall race there. So they get my checkers. And then my wreckers, it's not going to Kyle Busch. It's going to me because I keep picking him, and shame on me. I should be ashamed of myself for doing that.
You should
because,
be.
Listen to me. So
you're screwing up people's fantasy lineups and stuff.
I dove into it a little bit because everyone's wondering, like, what the hell is going on with Kyle Busch? What the hell's going on with Kyle Busch? So
I want to know what's going on with Kyle Busch.
I looked at it, and so last year's average finish for him was 13.8, which is his worst average finish for a season since the 2014 season, where it was a 17.6 average finish.
Okay.
Last year he only won one win. He only had one win, which is only the 5th time in his career that he didn't have multiple wins in a season.
That was Texas, right? The rain-shortened race by 4 days.
Yes, yeah, and it was like
it was it was a gas pit strategy win too.
And it took him up until like the 2nd or 3rd last race of the season to get that win last year. And then this year, his average finish is a 17.4. We all remember Jimmy Johnson won his last championship, and then he had a fall off. He won a couple more races, and then the last 2 or 3 seasons of his career, he didn't win a race. He was barely challenging. And I'm not saying that Kyle Busch is in the last couple years of his career, because he is only 36 or 37 years old. He's probably got another 7 or 8 years of good racing left in him, but he's going through a slump right now. And it's, I don't know how to explain it. You know, I don't know if it's the lack of practice, like we've talked about before, or what, but he's got to get his head out of his ass, because he's not doing good, and he's not the Kyle Busch that we've all learned to we've all gotten accustomed to, and so he's got to get better.
My problem with Kyle Busch is this drought's been going on longer than 2020. If you look back at the 2019 season, the championship year, he won that race at Homestead, but before that, his last win of that season was Pocono in June. So he went almost half of a season without a win in 2019. Now, he had a bunch of wins earlier on, and he collected a lot of stage points that helped him along in the playoffs.
Did enough to limp into the championship race. Right?
But I don't even know if this is an issue with, no practice and qualifying. It might be. That might be really contributing to it. I don't know. I feel like he has to go to like a witch doctor or a shaman or something, get cleansed with some what's it called? What do you burn? Oh,
sage.
Yeah, get burned with some sage. I don't know, some acupuncture, something. Put on something on Kyle Busch.
Eric answered that question like he's been waiting his whole life for someone to ask him.
Well, then too, his crew chief's different too. So there might have been that turmoil. Maybe him and his crew chief were just not meshing as good as they were. Look at Harvick and Childers. They meshed so well and started producing wins. Every other week they're winning.
Yeah.
I think could you get stagnant with a guy like maybe like Jimmy and Chad?
I think you could.
Worked well together in the beginning, and then maybe they just got a little complacent in their ways, and they weren't trying anything new because they were like, okay, well, this is what we did and it worked. Sometimes a new crew chief and a driver, they're more willing to change things up, and I kind of got that from what Kyle Larson, his crew chief said. He's like, listen, Kyle Larson was apologizing. Oh, I'm sorry about the speeding, and we had a good car.
Yeah.
It's my fault. And his crew chief, I'm having a brain fart. I can't think of who it is off the top of my head.
Adam Stevens.
He said, listen, he goes, we are going to grow together. He goes, that's fine. I'm going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Let's move forward and grow from it. And you know what? That's coaching in a way. That's who you want. You don't want to point the finger and point the blame, and that could seep into the driver's mind, and he could think about that during a race and what his crew chief told him and how he maybe feels about him. And if they're both on the same page, that's what you need to win races. Is you.
Eric, are you talking about Larson's crew chief, Cliff
Larson's
Daniels?
crew chief, yeah, Larson,
Daniels.
yes, Cliff Daniels, yes. So those those type of crew chiefs, like they produce winners,
Yeah.
you know, and I think maybe Kyle just got stagnant and, you know, new crew chief, they're trying to figure it out. So I'm not worried. It's Kyle Busch. He's going to get his shit together. So like, I think the practice, like you guys were saying, has a lot to do with it because Kyle likes to really dial in his car and he's very specific about it. Like when you ever listen to his radio, the stuff that he talks about, like for a new crew chief, you don't know how to assess everything that Kyle is telling you because he breaks his car down so well. And like without that practice during the race, he might just be getting frustrated and what he's telling his crew chief just can't absorb it or just doesn't know what to give Kyle. And I think that'll work out. It's only 5 races in. I think Kyle will eventually get it together just because you put him behind the wheel, he's going to do something with whatever he's behind.
No, that's true. And again, it's Kyle Busch. He can win.
Right.
He can win on this Sunday, and no one would be shocked. So, I mean, who knows? It's always fun to play the what if and the and if, but I don't know. Is that all you have for your checkers and records, Matt?
Yeah, that's all. I'm done picking Kyle Busch for anything ever until he starts proving me wrong again. So
don't put him in your fantasy lineup.
Lost money on him. I'm not doing good in our fantasy league because of him. I'm done with him.
That's the thing. Like I've wanted used him in our fantasy lineups, and I keep putting him in the garage, and I keep leaving him in the garage because he is not performing. Hopefully that'll be one of those guys I can use later on in the season, though, a little asset allocation, and I'll be okay when it comes to the summertime. I'm going to jump into my checkers and records. My checkers, just the third stage alone, I thought was great racing. Again, we had some great restarts. I thought the pit road penalties added to the drama of the race. You added more restarts due to cautions and whatnot. And I thought for Phoenix it was great. My record, and I've been holding off on this one for a couple weeks because I don't want to get too much into my fandom in here, but like I got to give it to Tyler Reddick. I don't know what the hell's going on with the number 8 car.
Hell yeah, Whitey. Hell yeah.
Like
that's a true fan. That's a true fan.
He's been
driver.
He's been disappointing me all year, except for that Homestead race. Wasn't even too thrilled with the Homestead race because it took him so long to get to light up. But he finished 27th on Sunday. Or no, he's 27th in the points. He finished like 29th on Sunday. Never really got too far from the back. Pit road penalty for speeding. They had a tire go down. Again, that was another pit road issue. They knocked the stem off the tire during a green flag stop. But you're welcome for the caution, though, because it did create a little excitement in the third stage. But it's like week after week of issues on pit road. They unload and they're just not fast. Either splitters like rubbing on the ground. Something's got to be done with that 8 car, and you can't even blame RCR because Austin Dillon, besides this week, has been running pretty well within the top 15. And
I was gonna say, if there's a silver lining, think about that. Is like even like towards the end of last year, RCR was running better. I mean, they have that now famous war room back on RCR's campus.
Yeah.
So they're gathering data. I think it's too early for you to get worried about it. He'll be okay.
I know. The problem is I was listening to the radio and his spotter was trying to talk him down because he was 3 laps down at some point, and he's like, "Oh, just calm down, drive clean. You don't want to miss the playoffs by 1 point." And I'm like, we're 27th in the point standings. Even if we win at this point, there's a good chance we won't get in the playoffs because he's not in the top 30. Like I don't know what the hell's going on. It's got me nervous as a fan. Maybe that's why I didn't enjoy.
Welcome to the sport of NASCAR, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, like when I first started getting into the sport, little stuff like that would absolutely crush my week going forward. And every driver has a spurt of just bad luck, weird, stupid shit happening. Like, the valve stem coming up. It happens, rare. Yeah. Like even a lug nut getting caught when they're going to put the tire on, it gets put in that Truex. It's like the odds of that happening is like asinine, and it happened to him.
It's just things compounding,
Yeah.
What makes it worse, and it was the cherry on top, really, was because Saturday I was talking about NASCAR with my girlfriend, and she likes Kevin Harvick. Now, last year was the first time she watched NASCAR in her life. And she liked Kevin Harvick because she liked his personality and everything. She liked
bullshit. She loves the bloomin' onions at Outback.
She likes the bloomin' onions at Outback. She likes Jimmy John. She loves Hunt Brothers Pizza, and she only uses Mobil 1 in her car. But no, she liked the whole happy Harvick thing. She liked that his pit road signs a smiley face. She likes that he smiles when he gets out of the car, and he had a great season last year. And we were talking about NASCAR, and she's like, I just don't think your driver's that good. And I'm like, no, he's great. Back-to-back Xfinity Series champions, 2 different teams. He's a phenomenal driver. He's just having bad luck. That was Saturday. Sunday rolls around, and I'm looking at her on the couch and go, oh, yeah, maybe my driver's just not that good.
Whitey, look at me.
Getting it from the old lady, dude.
Yeah.
Wow, you're getting it from all angles, dude. Rough.
You might get it from an angle for calling her old. Ooh, boy.
I know. Yeah, don't do that. I know Eric brought it up when we weren't recording about eventually doing a bold prediction. How about this, Whitey, to cheer you up going into the rest of your week? My bold prediction for this year is that Tyler Reddick is going to win a race.
Yeah, but you've also picked Kyle Busch to win 2 races so far this year. So your word is a little shaky.
Wow, he tries to pick you up and you just burn him right back
I'm
out.
sorry, I had to go for the jugular there. I apologize.
Wow.
I can't believe you just did that.
I'm sorry. It's all jokes. It's for the pod. I appreciate your words of encouragement with Tyler Reddick.
Hey, what? The Reddick thing goes back to the C Bell Xfinity days with us. We used to bet, we'd be at Douses and we would just be yelling at one another.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck Tyler Reddick, because Tim and C Bell, they're going for a championship.
They're duking it out.
We had some nights. We had some nights watching those battles.
The good old days of the Xfinity Series when my driver was dominant. Speaking of some drivers, though, I want to jump in. I noticed something this weekend. I was looking at the points, and we got 2 sleeper drivers. I don't know if you saw my notes on this, but I want the listeners at home to think, who could the 2 sleepers be in the Cup Series right now? 2 names you probably wouldn't guess are doing, well, much better than you would think. One is 16th in the points right now. It's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Quietly.
And you know what? I noticed him too. Even before you sent those notes, Whitey, I took notes, wow, that 47. I go, wait a minute, that's Ricky. I go, whoa,
he's quietly having himself a pretty good season. His most consistent and successful start to a season. Right now, he's 16th in points. Hasn't finished lower than 18th in any of the 5 races. His finishes were 18, 18, 13, 11, and 12. And I know JTG Doherty's got to be excited about that. The other one, Ryan Preece, running in a car with no charter. They're betting on themselves this season, and so far it's paying off. He's 14th in the points. So 2 JTG Dohertys, 14th and 16th in the points. They're in the playoff picture right now. Of course, we got a lot of racing to go, but how about JTG Doherty?
Yeah, man. So Ricky Stenhouse, not only is he having a good year, but he's having his statistically so far, and I know we're only 5 races into it, his best year in his Cup career. Like you said, it's his 9th full-time year in the Cup Series. His average finish is 14.4, which is the best of his career. The second best was all the way back in 2017, which was 17.1. So that's a 3-spot advantage right there. He doesn't have any DNFs. I know we always, people call him Ricky Stenhouse.
Yeah, Ricky Stenhouse.
Yet. Yeah. And, 4 out of the 5 races, he's finished on the lead lap. So he's definitely making improvements. And who would have thought that Brad Daugherty would be the ex-NBA player owner that we were talking about having a better team than Michael Jordan? That's
what I wanted to bring up. So there's been so much hype around Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin's new team. He's an African-American car owner, African-American driver. It's a big story. JTG Doherty's been around for a long time. Brad Daugherty's been in the sport since the 90s. As far as I know, he was the first African-American car owner, at least for a big team, not in like, you know, the 50s or whatever, like Wendell Scott and stuff. Right. So I mean, where are the stories? And my favorite too is there's a picture of Brad Daugherty and Michael Jordan playing basketball together, and it's like two NASCAR team owners. And I feel like the JTG Daugherty story is unfolding in front of us. And it's really not being talked about.
See that? You see what I just did? I put my tinfoil hat on, boy.
Put a tinfoil hat on.
Tinfoil hat on.
What's the conspiracy theory?
I think Michael Jordan is dishing Brad some cash on the side, elevate them to stick one to the man and say, you know what? This is our turn to run this sport. And he's funneling some money over there to JT Racing.
Maybe.
And Brad. No, that's
Eric, I love you, but that's
tinfoil hat conspiracy.
So
I love you, brother, but that was a batshit crazy statement
that you just said there. That is pretty crazy.
Did you put it on? Did you see me put it on?
That's absolutely ridiculous. I'll tell you why, because I don't know who is in charge of sponsorship over at JTG Daugherty, but those cars are always fully funded and stacked with sponsorships from like Kleenex and Kroger. All sorts of stuff are always on there. So I think they've always had the money kind of to spend. Of course, they're like a lower tier funded team. I just think that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. kind of coming into his own. And I feel like maybe in years past when he was at Roush, maybe the equipment was a little too good, where he was expecting more of himself. He was pushing a little too hard. Last year, I thought he did better in a lower funded car. And I think this year, maybe it's just kind of working out.
Or maybe the first year that Michael Jordan owns the team in the Cup Series, that he's having his best season ever.
I don't have any tin foil around here. I can put a tin can on my head. Maybe use it as a as some sort of radio transmitter to get the beams that you're getting in there. I don't know. I think you've been up in the Harding hole a little too long.
This is where the beams are coming from, right here. The Jim Beams, baby.
The Jim Beam dreams. I just thought that was a pretty interesting thing. You guys take anything else away from this weekend?
I have one thing. I was going to bring it up, and it was almost going to be my checkers. And I just thought, and I just want your guys' opinion on it as well, because I go up and down with it, you know, especially in years past when it started. I thought the PJ won on the racetrack on Sunday.
Yeah.
It actually helped. It did its job. It created multiple grooves.
Yeah.
The racing was there. It caused a lot of slide jobs to happen. You know, you're running that top, you're in the sticky stuff, you know, and the guy's low, he's getting you. But man, that top run, when you come off of that, you know, that's where the runs were. So I thought the PJ won. It did its job.
Yeah.
And I was a hater of it at first. And, you know, the drivers changed my mind. I listened to a lot of the driver interviews and what they thought about it. And it seemed to me, Logano talked about it. He said it's you know, I think he even talked about it in the booth, Matt, for that short period I was watching the Xfinity race. And I think that was one thing he was looking at, was how the PJ1 was going to come in on that racetrack and how they were going to utilize it. And, you know, it does take some heat for a little bit. So the beginning of the race, it's not as effective, but I just thought it created a lot of good racing on the racetrack. What do you guys think about the PJ1 and NASCAR, you know, the willingness for them to use it at these tracks for the benefit of good racing?
I like it. I like the idea. I mean, it adds that second groove, or sometimes even a third groove to a racetrack, and it adds theoretically, when it works right, it adds more passing. So, of course, you know, how could you not be for that? I'm all for the PJ1, the sticky stuff, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
I agree. I think this is the third year that they've been really using the PJ1. And I agree, because usually they only use it at tracks where we kind of think are a little boring to begin with. Some of those worn surfaces that don't have too much grip. It adds a little grip. And I enjoy it. And you want to know what? I kind of enjoy it when it's not activated and you see guys like kind of slide a little bit in it. It's a little icy. before it warms up.
Yeah,
It makes things
Larson,
interesting.
I think Larson said about Phoenix. Well, it would have had been the 2019 season. It was helping some guys up top, and they were getting a lot of grip. But his car, he said, when I got up there, it was like he was on ice.
Oh yeah.
So it all depends on the setup of the car, and the more I looked into it, it depends on what tire Goodyear was bringing as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Goodyear's tire, and that has a lot to do with the racing. They tend to use it at short tracks a lot, but in the beginning, I wasn't a fan of it because I thought it was a Band-Aid that NASCAR was trying to use to fix the sport and fix the racing. They're trying to change the tracks when, like, I thought they should have been changing the car.
Yeah.
They
like should be adjusting the
saying,
package.
Okay, yes. So, I mean, they're going in the right direction with it as far as with the package and using the PJ one down effectively. So, they're just trying to find that middle ground and making it work. And hey, if the drivers like it, and obviously we saw the racing, I'm all for it.
I agree. Again, too, when they first started to use it was 2019, and I feel like that was the first year with the the high downforce package, low horsepower package, and they're using it at every track. And since, of course, they moved to a short track package with more horsepower, less downforce. But I agree, it did tend to make the racing a little bit more exciting, especially on restarts, especially as it gets worked in. And I'll be honest, as long as the racing's good, I don't care what they have to do. I don't care what the package is. I don't care what they do to the track. As long as the product looks good and is exciting, that's all I care about. I think sometimes we get too caught up in the minutia of things of like, oh, how much horsepower. Like, really, if you don't know, are you seeing any worse or better of a product if you know what the rules package is? I don't know.
I agree. That's all I had as far as like for the topics that I wanted to kind of bring up and feed to you guys and see what your guys' opinions were, because I know that on NASCAR radio, once again, I know that could be a
very touchy subject.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of mixed reviews when it comes to packages,
cool.
and
like they tend to hate it.
And some of the fans at home might not even know, every race Goodyear brings a different tire. They bring a tire specific for that track. Sometimes they have the same tire combination for a couple different tracks that are similar. So yeah, there's so many factors that goes into it. I think as long as the product looks good on a Sunday, that's all I care about.
I agree.
I tell you who didn't look good on Sunday was our last place driver. Everyone always talks about the first place driver, Martin Truex Jr., of course, this weekend. Well, the last place driver this weekend was one Timmy Hill. Of course, he's a NASCAR Cup driver, an avid iRacer, and a big fan of grilling and smoking meats in his Pit Boss grill. I don't know if you guys ever hear that commercial on NASCAR radio. It cracks me up every time. Timmy might want to stick to iRacing, because, well, he had a rough one.
Again.
Matt, what happened? What happened to him this week? I know you texted us during like the first 10 laps or so of the race, and you go, "Oh, Timmy Hill's having troubles. Looks like he's gonna be our last place guy."
10 laps in.
He was having engine troubles 10 laps in. It's at the point now where it's like I just feel bad for him, man. Like he's obviously an underfunded equipment, like underfunded equipment. And he's not even getting out of the first stage in most of these races.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel bad for him. I have a feeling this is not going to be the last time we highlight old Timmy Hill in the Mr. Irrelevant position.
Absolutely not. I know, and that's another thing that that the common fan might not be aware of. But those lower funded teams, those backmarker teams, a lot of times are driving chassis from like 10 years ago. I think Timmy Hill last year was driving one of the oldest Cup cars, and it was from like 2011, maybe 2012, something like that. So he's definitely in some lesser equipment, and I feel bad laughing because, I mean, I've never turned laps on a racetrack, so I don't know if I could do better, especially when something like an engine expires.
But we have to highlight the Mr. Irrelevant.
But you want to know what? Someone comes in first, someone comes in last, and we're going to talk about them both.
That's right.
Hey, you got to live with the results. It is what it is.
We're an equal opportunity podcast. We like to talk about everyone in the field.
We'll cover the Mr. Irrelevant, even if it's one of our drivers that has shit luck and finishes last. So.
You never know what can happen this weekend in Atlanta. Someone hits the wall in turn one. You get a DNF. It'll probably be Tyler Reddick because that's how his luck's been going.
Don't say that.
But hopefully not. I still like a fool bet money on him every week because I know that one week it's gonna finally pay off, and I might make all the money back that I've been betting every week.
Don't bet with your heart.
No, that's true. Speaking of hearts, I want to know where your heart lies. Let's pick a line or pick a lane. The choose cone is out. I got a couple of questions for you guys. So with the Bristol Dirt Race coming up, we're seeing more Cup guys attempting the dirt race in the trucks. Kevin Harvick, MTJ, just to name a few. Are you guys okay with Cup regulars going down to the lower series and racing, especially when it's a new track or something we haven't seen? Matt, I want your take first.
Yeah, so God, over the past probably 7 or 8 years, my stance has completely changed. Back before NASCAR put the so-called restrictor plate on Cup drivers coming down into these series and limiting the races that they can run, they would run whenever they can or wanted to.
Oh, they'd run every single race.
It got to be the Kyle Busch rule. It got to be overbearing, but I've kind of changed my stance on it over the past probably year or two. I think it's good for these drivers down in the Xfinity and Truck Series to go against the top talent. And they're not necessarily dominating. I was curious. I looked at Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick's stats in the lower series. We're going to exclude Kyle Busch in the Truck Series because he does dominate there. But Kyle Busch only won 1 out of his last 5 Xfinity starts. So he's not necessarily dominating and gobbling up all those wins. And these guys in the Xfinity Series are getting really good experience going against the quote-unquote best that this sport has to offer. Harvick ran 18 Xfinity races from 2016 through 2018 and only won 1 of them. So like I said, it's
That's
not
kind
like
of
these
surprising.
guys are Yeah, it is. It's super surprising. So it's not like these guys are dominating and the younger guys are learning something. So I've kind of done a complete 360 on my thought process with that. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that them dropping down is a good thing.
All right, Eric, what do you think?
I'm gonna agree with you on most of your points there. You know, the experience for those drivers, you know, to go up against the best of the best, they have to be excited to want to race against those guys. They want to be out there with the best of the best. Do they take a couple wins from them? Yes. But like my point is, and I'm gonna go the opposite. Like I dislike it just for the fact that it does benefit them on Sunday. Yeah. So if you are a part of a team on Sunday, like you're a Gibbs, you know, you're Penske, they have an Xfinity team. Yeah. They could, you know, that's just seat time. That's in my eyes, that's cheating in, you know, the most obvious way and most legal way, you know, because you send Harvick out there on Saturday. You send Logano out there on a Saturday. Yeah. They all admit it. It helps them. They learn stuff for Sunday. And that's one thing that I always was irritated with when they brought Eric Jones up from Xfinity to replace Matt in that 20 car. He won an Xfinity Series race almost every time he got in that car. And I thought they should have kept him in that car on Saturdays for his first couple years in Cup. Give him a few rides and let him learn, give him seat time. And they just didn't do that because obviously the farm system was coming through. They wanted to get Bell in there. They got to
push the drivers as quick as possible.
Exactly. So, you know, he didn't have that opportunity, you know, to run Cup and Xfinity to get that, you know, much needed seat time and experience. And I just think it benefits these guys on Sunday, and it's just a huge advantage. And some guys just don't have that opportunity to run the Xfinity Series races. And that would be my only argument against it, is the fact that it is an advantage on Sunday.
Yeah. I tend to agree with both of you. I enjoy seeing the Cup Series regulars come down for a couple of races. I think they have it set at a good balance where, what is it? You could do 5 truck races and 7 Xfinity Series races.
Yeah.
Are those the numbers?
I think it's 5 and 5 now.
Is it 5 and 5?
Yeah, they lowered it. It used to be 7, I think, and then they lowered
it was.
I'm
It
okay
was.
with that. I think that is fair and it's balanced because, like, you're right. You do get a little bit of experience on a Saturday, but again, the packages are different. So you're learning about the track, but you're really not learning too much. My problem is when it comes to new tracks that we're going to. So Bristol Dirt is a complete unknown for everybody. And now you have a handful of guys that are going to get experience on the Friday night before the Sunday race. And whether that'll translate, whether that'll do any good for them, it might not, and it might. I just feel like it's a little unfair advantage.
But they all get practice though for that race, right?
Yeah,
they
they're
are
gonna get the
do.
heats too.
They do. I don't know. Something about it just rubs me the wrong way. It's kind of like last year when they introduced the
Daytona Road Course. Yeah.
They said no one could race it in a lower series. That way everyone's going in fresh. And I feel like they should have did that with, Bristol Dirt, Coda, Road America, all the new Cup Series tracks, just for those. And then if you want to jump down for Atlanta, have some fun, run around Homestead. I don't care. But
I do see what you're saying though, Whitey, because yes, on all these new tracks that we're getting this year, they are giving those guys practice on those tracks.
Yeah.
But Harvick, like you said, Harvick is running like pretty much all the new road courses in the Xfinity series. And it's practice, like, an hour or two of just practice out there figuring out your car is completely different than actually running in a race and learning how the car, like you said, the cars and the trucks, are different, but
still you're gonna pick up your braking zones, your passing zones.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little bit of an unfair advantage, but I don't know.
I mean, someone's got to run those tracks though for testing. So who do you get to do that? You know what I mean? Like, you get a retired guy to do it? Do you get a Kenseth to go out there and do it? Do you get some of these guys like, a junior? Do you get those guys to test? A Gordon, a Boyer, someone that was recently removed from the car.
Someone's been listening to Door Bumper Clear. Someone's been listening to Door Bumper Clear. They brought that up on their podcast last week, and I actually never thought about that. But having retired drivers go to these tests, why not? I think that's great.
Why not? Right? Because and Drez, I didn't watch that podcast, but I'm glad I'm on the same page with him.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
You're on the same page as the
exact
experts.
Same thing. Have these retired guys go out to these test sessions. Yeah.
Why not? Because it is an advantage. I think we all agree that it's an advantage for these guys come Sunday.
Yeah.
Right. And, some of these drivers that are freshly retired, like, look at Jimmy. He's going to run a full Indy car. So, like, they still could drive. They still are able to, wheel these machines around.
Oh, yeah.
I think that might not be a bad idea for these new racetracks and road courses. Hey, send some of these old veterans out there and have them test so these guys don't get a leg up on some of these other drivers. That would be a good idea.
Hell, whenever they figure out the whole SRX lineup for Tony Stewart's thing, just have all those guys come and test.
Yeah, right? There you go.
All right, the Choose Cone is back out. I got a question. I want you guys to pick a lane on this one. So the Instacart 500, unlike any other race in the NASCAR Cup schedule, as far as I can remember, is the number 500 is for kilometers. It's a 310-mile race. Now, for years now, people have been debating about the length of the race. Of course, the Pocono 500 down to 400 miles. Now, it used to be a crazy endurance race. A lot of 500 milers, now 400 milers. What would you feel? How would you feel if, say, we just kept the names and switched everything to kilometers? So you're getting maybe not the Daytona 500. Well, that one's sacred. We'll keep that one and the Coke 600 the same.
The crown jewels you can't touch.
The crown jewels you keep the same.
I agree.
The Southern 500, 500 miles. But say you want a Pocono 500, make it 500 kilometers. What do you guys think about that, Eric? I'll let you take it first.
I do get confused by it, Whitey. I will admit that. Sometimes I do like, wait a minute, like, how many laps are they running? It's the Pocono 400 and they run 167 laps.
Yeah.
Like, how does that And I'm just trying to do the math in
just
my
like,
head.
oh, it's like
It's
2.5
never good
miles.
when Eric has to try
you know?
to do math either.
And
No, it's never good.
and because like that's the thing, it always confuses me with Phoenix. I'm like, oh, 500 miles at Phoenix, that's gonna suck. And then I realize it's 500 kilometers, and it's really only 310 miles. I'm like, oh, it's like an Xfinity Series race. You expect it to end pretty early, and somehow it still takes 3 hours. But you know, I know a lot of people are just saying like, oh, the races are too long. How do you get a younger fan base? The attention span isn't quite there. Do we move to kilometers? I mean, the U.S. has been talking about changing to the metric system ever since I think our parents were little kids. So do you think NASCAR should change?
Gonna happen.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I do think that NASCAR, I mean, what would they do? Call it like every race, like like the even numbers thing just looks sexy. You know what I mean? Like the Daytona 500 or like, you know, what do you call it? The Daytona 283. Like it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't.
You adjust the lap count for whatever the kilometers
I understand
are.
but if it comes down to that and it's just a weird number is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're doing 107 laps. You know.
Yeah, it's just like it just seems weird that way.
Stage 1 is 27 laps. Stage 2 is 34.
No, not like as far as that. I'm talking more than names.
Well, yeah,
like
I know.
Daytona 500, like that it just fits. It works. Like I think if you go kilometers, the numbers tend to get a little wonky, like you're saying, and it just doesn't. It's hard to follow when we obviously, like you said, we don't use that. You know, so I would rather keep it simple, keep it what I know,
keep it miles.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one's tough for me because I mean, God, kilometers is not the answer, guys. I hate to sound like the ignorant American. Oh, kilometers, but like kilometers isn't the answer. But
I don't get them. I don't understand how. I don't know how far a mile is. Hell if I know what a kilometer is, to be honest with you.
I'll say this, for as much as I obviously love NASCAR, sometimes the races drag on just a little bit too much. I think the Xfinity Series has it pretty set with like that. It's typically a 2.5 hour window, depending on obviously cautions.
Yeah,
they get the race in, they get it over with, and then you can move on with your day. So I know, like Whitey alluded to, a lot of the 500-mile races have gotten cut down to the 400-mile races, which is a step in the right direction. But
yeah, it's just too much.
I wouldn't even mind seeing it get cut down to 300 or 350 miles. Just cut it down, trim it up. There's no reason why we have to be sitting there watching a race for 4.5, sometimes 5 hours on a Sunday afternoon, especially because what time do most of the races start?
3 o'clock and 3:30. That was another thing this weekend. So it was a 3:30 start, green flag 3:47. Like, if you're going to do a 3:30 start, can't you throw the green flag at, 3:35?
Yeah, you want to talk about weird numbers. Let's go to the start
times.
3:47, like get it together already. Like these, like I understand the West Coast, blah, 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 but like you screw the West Coast alone.
Yeah.
These times are just absurd on a Sunday.
Although we do have Atlanta, do have Atlanta this weekend. I think it's a 2:30 start, but it's probably like a 2:46 start.
2:46 start.
Yeah.
And then
it's still too late though. It's still too late.
I agree.
I believe
we've all been banging that drum. It's got to be pushed up.
Oh no, Atlanta's a 3 o'clock start. Bristol's a 3:30 start. Martinsville is 7:30 on a Saturday. Richmond's a 3 o'clock start. The next 2 o'clock start is April 25th at Talladega.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Can we real quick, though, talk about just for like 30 seconds about how amazing the next 5 races are?
Oh, my God. Our schedule's looking great.
This is my favorite stretch of the season. This is my favorite stretch of the season. You've got Atlanta, Bristol, Martinsville, Richmond, and then Talladega. Oh, my God.
I will say I'm not a huge Richmond fan. I thought the playoff race in Richmond was really good, but just in general, not looking forward to it. But I mean, maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised, like Phoenix.
Richmond used to produce great racing. I don't know if the package just hasn't worked out there, or what's going on. But Richmond used to produce some awesome races there.
Yeah.
They kind of been on the more of like the dud side lately, but yeah, this stretch is just phenomenal. Absolutely going to put on a show. And with the way the short track package has shown me from Phoenix, and Phoenix is kind of, they used a short track package there, but man, am I excited for these next few weeks to come in NASCAR for sure.
Should definitely be fun. I'm just like excited to see that Bristol dirt race. I don't know what to expect, but let's
mayhem.
jump.
I just think it's going to be mayhem. I think Harvick
I think
said
so
it,
too.
Like Harvick said something.
It's going to be a spectacle or something like that.
Yeah. He said it to a point where, like, you're basically going to like the Barnum and Bailey circus at this point in time, you know?
Well, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, Bristol is in 2 weeks, but this week coming up, we're going to be at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Folds of Honor Quicktrip 500, 325 laps down in the ATL, 500.5 miles. I had to look it up. I was curious because I was looking things up with the pick of the lane and everything. But yeah, it's 500 and a half mile race, 3 p.m. start on Fox. Are you guys excited for Atlanta this week?
The most worn out surface we go to, boys, which means tires are going to be an issue. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
And
Atlanta's a phenomenal racetrack. Like Matt said, the surface there, that's what makes the racing. The tire fall off, and I think the veterans are going to be the ones that are going to be up front all day because they know how to manage their car. They know how to manage their tires. It's all throttle control and brakes. And when during your run, do you go full out? When do you take off the gas? And, saving tires is going to be huge. So I think the veterans are going to be up front for most of this race.
I agree.
Absolutely.
This past week, I feel like we did see the rise again of the veterans up front.
Told you it was going to happen.
They were coming back, and I feel like Atlanta is going to be the race where we see an all veteran top 10.
Yeah.
And
the stats prove your point, right, Whitey?
So I know. Are you going to bring up the last 4 winners at Atlanta? I looked this up. I was blown away. Tell them who won the last 4 races.
It's Harvick, Keselowski.
It's the Harvick and Keselowski show. It's those 2 guys only. And if anyone needs to win this race or this season so far in the beginning, it's going to be Harvick. Although he won last time, maybe it'll be Keselowski. I don't know. We'll talk about it in the picks.
Right. Well, and then before we get into that, as you guys know, every week I throw you a little bit of stats so you can make your educated picks. And then for the people who listen to this segment for the gambling aspect of it. So of course I did the last 4 years. And then I always give you the average finishes inside the top 10 over those last 4 years. Keselowski is a 3.2. Harvick is a 3.8 average finish. Our winner from this week, Martin Truex Jr.'s average finish in the last 4 races at Atlanta is 4.5. Kurt Busch, which was surprising, 6.0. Larson, which again, only with 3 starts, has a 7.7 average finish in the last 4 races. And then Kyle Busch rounds out the average finishes inside the top 10 with a 7.8. And then wait until you hear this stat with laps led.
All right.
Kevin Harvick in the last 4 races at Atlanta has led 669 laps. That's 54% of the races of the laps over the last 4 races.
That's more laps than 2 races.
The next closest is Larson, who missed a race at 149 laps.
Wow.
So they even have a racing line dedicated to Harvick called the Harvick line in Atlanta because every other driver always says, like, I try to study that line that he drives at Atlanta, that bottom groove, and nobody can seem to mimic it like he can. So if you're going to bet on anyone this week, I mean, I highly suggest Harvick.
I mean, you mentioned Larson's name, though. I wasn't even thinking about Larson until you said that. I might have to change my pick. I won't, but it's in the back of my head. Let me rattle off the starting lineup. The top 10, this is according to Bob Pockrass's math. He did some math in the airport last night. Starting in the front row, it's an all Gibbs front row. It's going to be Hamlin and Truex. Coming in at 3rd and 4th, going to be an all Penske second row with Logano and Keselowski. Third row going to be all Hendrick with Elliott and Larson. I thought that was crazy. The big threes all starting there. And then Harvick, Bell, and then William Byron and Blaney rounding out the top 10. My pick for this week, because, well, of course, I won the picks last week with Martin Truex Jr. I think I won, and then Eric, you're going to get to pick second, and then Matt's going to go last because he picked Kyle Busch, and of course he didn't perform.
I'll never pick Kyle Busch again, ever.
You want to know what, though? Kyle Busch just had a real bad luck day. Ross Chastain, like, how many people wrecked because of Ross Chastain? Alex Bowman had a rough one. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to pick someone in the Ford camp. Not going to be Kevin Harvick. I don't think the streak continues with him or Brad. I think it's going to be a different Team Penske driver. I think Joey Logano is due for a win.
Wow.
He runs strong the last 4 races. He is a bit of a skull. I don't know. I feel like that's the Team Penske driver to pick. I feel like it's going to be a Ford down in Atlanta. I don't see, if anything, maybe Larson will contend with someone. Maybe Chase will come alive this race. I don't know, but I'm picking a Ford, and it hurts to say it's going to be Logano.
All right. Well, you kind of at the end there touched on it, and in the beginning of this podcast, after listening to Matt, I almost have to pick. I'm not going to do it. I'm going Chase Elliott. He's good.
Not
he's
so
gonna get
fast,
his
my
win
friend.
here.
He just hit us with a Lee Corso.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was going to go Kyle Busch just to try to break the juju. Say, fuck you, Matt. I'll pick Kyle Busch, and he's going to win.
I wouldn't do it.
It's just all on you. It's all on you, but I can't do that because I think his losing streak and his bad luck is going to continue. I'm going to go with Chase Elliott. He's a veteran. He knows how to take care of his car.
Yeah.
He's run really, really well at Atlanta. I don't think he's finished outside the top 10 at Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. I think his average might be 8. He just runs really well there for one of these drivers that's only been in the series for years here. It's just, he's a veteran now. He's still very, very young, compared to other people in the sport, but he's now a veteran driver, and I think he knows how to handle his car and get around that racetrack. So I think Chase, this is the week that he punches that ticket, and he goes to repeat for the championship.
Hendrick's got 2 wins on the board so far. We'll see if Chase Elliott can pull it off for Eric's pick. Matt, who are you picking this week?
You guys made it too easy. See that guy behind you, Eric? Go ahead and give him a little kiss on the cheek. I'm taking him, boys. It was you left me with a layup. Kevin Harvick is my pick all week this week. Come on.
Okay. I respect it.
I wanted to go, Matt, I knew coming in, I saw where we, finished as far as results.
Don't tell me it was a pity. Don't tell me it was a pity pick.
No, it's not. I'm in the lead by 1. But SHR, they're not the same SHR.
They've been struggling this year.
They've been struggling. So, he dominated him and Keselowski. The Penske camp, as far as the Fords go, they're still as consistent as they were. They're still running just as good as they were. So, if anything, I took Brad K last week. Him having the pole, it was a good shot for him to win. But, this week might even be a better shot for Brad K to win. I just think that as far as the Fords go, Penske is at the top right now. And SHR, they're just struggling a little bit. Harvick is obviously, running the best out of all of them. But I just think with their woes, it wasn't as sure of a pick from the previous stats. And
the man has a racing line named after him at this track, the Harvick line. I'm taking Harvick, man. Come on.
Listen,
Kevin.
This is why I love sport. This is what it's about. Is he gonna do it? Is he not gonna do it? I'm betting against him, and you're putting your money down on him. I love it.
We'll see what happens in the ATL on Sunday. I was gonna pick Harvick too, But then I was thinking like, oh, well, he won the last time, so now Brad K's due for a win, if you're following the trends. But Brad K didn't, well, he drove all right this past weekend. Joey Logano was up front all day long in Phoenix, and I think he's going to carry that momentum in. We will see what happens in Atlanta. You guys have anything left before we wrap up the show today?
I'm good. That's all. I'm spent.
Yeah, I'm good. We got a lot coming up the next couple weeks, like I talked about before. So I'm super excited for this stretch run here.
All right, we got some exciting NASCAR racing upon us. So far, we're 5 races in, 5 different winners. The playoff picture locked in right now. Michael McDowell, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Kyle Larson, and Martin Truex Jr. We'll see if one of our 3 picks can lock themselves in, whether it be Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, or Chase Elliott down in the ATL for the Quiktrip 500. We'll talk to you next Monday. Hope you have a good night.